Hello, everybody. Catherine Graham here, and I decided to do an impromptu Illuminate session today, um, just because I know there's a lot of energies that are up there in the world right now. Um, Lots of different emotions that are coming up for people, lots of different experiences that are coming up for people, and I'm just making sure that everything's live here. Um, I want to talk about it a little bit, because it can be so difficult for us to navigate, and it can be so difficult for us to deal with the emotions that are coming up as we're seeing everything happening around us. Um, and I just need to mute my volume on my computer because there we go. Um, and essentially, I feel like in this world right now, um, there's a lot of things that are coming up for a lot of people. And sometimes it's on a very global level where we're looking at, the world news, what world leaders are doing, that sort of thing. And other times it's on a much more personal level. So within our relationships, with finances, with our health. And when these things are coming up, it can be so easy for us to lose ourselves and lose our connection to our divine light, to our divine truth, to the things that matter most to us. And I feel like in a lot of ways we're told to distract ourselves, whether it's, hey, pay attention to this thing that's happening over here, or it's, hey, pay attention to this entertainment news, or hey, numb yourself out completely. A lot of the information we're receiving is to neglect ourselves and really just focus on all the stuff that's happening out here. And a lot of the stuff that's happening out here, we have no control over. We can have our opinions, we can have our thoughts, we can have our ideas of what should be done, but really ultimately we have no control over it. And that's okay. I feel, and take it if it resonates, you don't have to take it if it doesn't resonate. But I feel like when I'm watching the world out here happening and I've got big emotions that are coming up inside of me, it's my opportunity to be able to go within myself and heal myself, heal what's coming up inside of me. And so if I've got anger, it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to meet and embrace and express more of my anger. And when I say express, it doesn't mean like calling someone up and being like, hey, I'm angry and this is what you've done to make me angry. But instead that I'm allowing myself to express my anger in a healthy way. The same with frustration or grief or whatever it might be that you've got, that you might be feeling. It's all giving you an opportunity to go within. And most of us don't want to do that. Most of us want to change the thing that's happening out there instead of going within ourselves. And that's okay too. I spent years trying to change the external experience of what was happening, and it doesn't work. I frustrated myself, I annoyed myself, I got myself all worked up, and it doesn't work. What does work and what did work for me was actually going within my own experience, going within and finding what emotions was it that I was holding on to? What emotions was it that were just naturally coming out of me because of what the external experience was? And in that, you get that sense of control again. You get to decide, okay, I'm not going to just let this anger take over and let anger be the thing that's narrating my life. I'm not going to let someone else dictate whether or not I have a good day, or whether or not I feel freedom within my life, whether or not I feel imprisoned in my life, whether or not I'm stuck, whether or not I'm waiting for someone else to change so that I can have a good relationship again. It really is an inside job. And I know just from my own experience how easy it is and how much we desire to change the things outside of us so that we can find peace within. And I promise you that your peace is only going to come from within you. Your peace is not going to, it doesn't come from an outside source. At this point in my life, it has become more apparent to me that when I do the inner work, when I allow myself to deal with whatever emotions are coming up, the outside stuff, whether it's in my relationships, whether it's what's happening in my business or what's happening in the world or whatever, that stuff doesn't trigger me the same way that it used to. And so I guess this is my invitation to each of you to just allow yourself to get curious, to go within and kind of discover what are those emotions that are coming up for you. And even more so, allow yourself to be with those emotions, not resist them, because that's what a lot of us do. Is we feel the anger and we think, I shouldn't be feeling angry right now. It's this problem that's causing my anger, so this problem needs to go away. But essentially, that anger is showing up because it's inside of you. And when you allow yourself to go, okay, so I've got some anger. Let me just embrace this anger for a little bit. Let me just be with it. Let me feel into it. Let me see, what is this anger trying to show me? And it's not something that needs to be resisted, but rather embraced, because once we embrace it and we allow ourselves to feel it, we allow ourselves to experience it, it flows through us. It's kind of like using the bathroom. You know, you can resist going to the bathroom for as long as you want to, but you're just going to get more and more uncomfortable. And the moment you give yourself permission to just release whatever's coming up, you feel immediate comfort again. You know, you're not in resistance. You're not trying to hold it in. You're allowing it to just flow out of you. And the same is true with our emotions. So yes, the world's just going to keep on happening. And it's interesting because they've talked about the age of Aquarius for years now. And when they've talked about the age of Aquarius, it's like supposed to be this great awakening and these massive shifts, and we're stepping into our spiritual power. And it's like, I'm watching it happen. I'm witnessing it happen. We all are. But what we didn't know, or what they didn't really talk about, was that the denser emotions that we all have, and just because we're human, right? So these denser emotions that we all have, in order for us to reach this kind of age of Aquarius or this age of enlightenment, that stuff's going to have to come up and come out. And so we're seeing it in the world at large, but we're also witnessing it within ourselves. And so this is our opportunity to truly step into our light. It's our opportunity to truly embrace the divinity that each of us are, that each of us have within us, and that we want to bring out into the world. And so things are, you know, that pressure cooker, it's happening right now, and we might not see change for, you know, another 50 years or another 100 years or another 200 years. If you look back through history, like the technology era, which we're still reaping the benefits of the technology era. This is how I'm able to come to you guys on Facebook right into your homes, is because of technology. But when technology first started, if you think about like the first telephone or the first telegram, these were the very early stages of that era moving in. And since 2012, we've been stepping into the age of Aquarius, the golden age, whatever you want to call it. And so we're seeing and witnessing kind of the birth of this spiritual era where we're tapping more so into energies. We're tapping more so into our human consciousness and our human emotions. And in that, we're reconnecting with divinity. But it's kind of messy at first, right? And we have to be willing to dive into that messiness so that we can clear it all out. And I always equate it to like doing spring cleaning, you know, where you start to clear out the closets and suddenly your entire house is a mess because you're clearing out the closets and you're doing the work, but the house is looking messier and messier. So you might have a donation pile over there, and you might have a garbage pile over there, and you might have a bunch of stuff over here that just needs to get organized and put away properly. And it's not that you're not doing the work, it's just everything's kind of messy, and you have to keep going through and going through and going through. And I know there's been times for myself where it's like, you know, you start to pull everything out of the closet and you're like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. It doesn't feel very exciting. But the moment you get it all organized again and you get it all cleared up, it's like, You know, you feel like, okay, I've accomplished something. And this to me is the invitation that we all have right now, is this invitation to clear out our own closets, so our hearts, clear out the things that are not true about who we are. You know, when I was on the Camino, there was an experience that I had, and I had just reached the aspect of the Camino where it's more about the spiritual journey. And in one of my first days on that kind of spiritual part of the path, there was a drunken man in my room in the albergue, and he reeked of alcohol. Like, you know, when it comes through the skin, it smelled disgusting. Our door was closed. It was really hot and muggy, and I barely slept because of this smell that was there. And that same day, one of the people that I was walking with, they were bringing up a lot of things that they were angry about and just really spouting off about that. And then another couple I had been walking with on and off, there was an experience with a car driving really fast past us. And these people had been such gentle people the entire time that I had known them. But in that moment, they were like, F you, you a-hole, and whatever. They were quite mad because this car drove past us all very quickly. And understanding, like, they felt their safety was threatened, so there's no judgment there. But I found it so interesting that in one day on this spiritual aspect, there were so many of us that were feeling this anger, and we were feeling this annoyance, and you know, just really in that state of judgment. And I questioned it. I was like, what is the spiritual message in this? What is the point of this? And the answer that came through as I was writing was that it was an opportunity for me to either make anger my God or make God my God, to make frustration my God or make God my God. And there's been so often in my life that I know I've allowed those denser emotions to become that narrator, to become the way I'm showing up in the world, to take over, to infect my day, to infect my mind, to infect my being. And in that moment, I realized that, you know, our greatest tests are happening in the day to day. It's these small things that we go through, the drunken person in the albergue, or someone driving erratically, or whatever our opinions might be. And we can really fuel those opinions. We can really get ourselves angry if we choose to. And in that sense, we start to make anger our God, or we start to make grief our God, or we start to make disappointment our God. And we think this is the only thing that there is. And I think it's a natural byproduct of being human. And yet, I know for myself, it doesn't help me feel better. I know that when I'm able to see the God consciousness in another being, and to understand what their story is, and to look deeper into what their experience is, and just get curious about it, I feel better overall. And so I started to think of this drunken man, and, you know, kind of looking at what would cause him to get so drunk that he's, you know, passed out in this albergue and just reeking of alcohol. And knowing people in my life that have struggled with alcohol addiction and the pain that they've gone through, it allowed me to just start having a little bit of compassion for this guy, and for what his experiences might have been, that this was the best choice he could make while he's walking this spiritual path right beside me. And to me, it felt like such a reminder of our capacity as humans to remember the divinity that's available, or that's within every single one of us. And yeah, sometimes, you know, we get knocked off the path. Sometimes we don't remember our own divinity, and so we turn to substances and, you know, try and numb out whatever emotions are separating us from our divinity. We try and numb them out. And I know there's a lot of judgment on that in our society, and that's okay. But I just wonder, you know, if we were to meet more people with compassion, if we were to meet more people not at what their actions are, but rather at what is their level of wounds? What is their level of disconnection that they're experiencing? And can we love them? And when we do, can that shift them? Can that transform them? I know for myself, in a lot of my experiences, it's when I've been met with love. It's when I've been met with compassion, or someone who's just listening and not telling me I need to change or do something better or anything like that, but they're just willing to listen. That's when I tend to grow the most. And I feel like it's probably the same for each of us. You know, we just sometimes need someone to listen to us. We need someone to hear our emotions and to just hold space for them. And sometimes, yes, they might give advice and we might take it or we might not. And either way, it's okay. But ultimately, we can become that for everybody in our lives, and not to shift them or not to change them, but perhaps to just plant a seed of inspiration for them, that whatever struggles they've got going on, that there's a bigger picture at play, that there's, you know, a divine reason of what their experiences are. There's something divine that's wanting to come through them. And I had a hard time with that concept for a long time, because I really had this kind of idea that, you know, God and the energy of God. I seen a video a couple weeks ago that said we've been calling God a noun when God is a verb. And that really resonated with me, because to me, it's not some guy in the sky who's, you know, got a checkbook or not a checkbook, a check mark list and going, okay, Catherine's doing good today, I'm going to give her a check mark. But if she screws up tomorrow, I'm going to give her a big X, and then this bad event's going to happen. But rather, it's an energy. It's a flow that moves between each of us individually and together as a whole, as a collective. It's an energy that's within the plants and the flowers and the birds and the bees and all of the animals, and within our love, within our words, within our expression. It's just this energy that's constantly flowing. But I didn't always see it that way. I at one point in time, I did see it as you know, this person in the sky that was really judging me and deciding whether or not I was a good human or not. And so when good things happened, I would think, okay, I'm making God happy. And when bad things happen, I would think, oh God, what have I screwed up now? What do I need to do differently? And, you know, I really just had that whole messaging system wrong, like a lot of us do. Because God's love is just unconditional. God's love is, it just is. It's not something that you earn. It's not something that you lose. It just is. And then we have that free will where we get to choose to either, you know, turn towards it, or we can turn away from it. And I know for myself, a lot of times I was turning away from it because I thought I was the bad one, or I was making the wrong choices or whatever. And so when I talk about, you know, this divine will or this divine reason that these things are happening, I used to think, well, why would God want to do this to me? Like, what is the point? And what I've been realizing and learning and undoing within my being is essentially every experience that I've had throughout my life. There was a lot of painful things that made me turn away from God, made me turn away from my family, made me turn away from my truth. And that wasn't the divine will. The things that I experienced were just a co-creation of other people's realities and their wounds that were coming into my energy field. And whether they were conscious of that or not conscious of that, it was just something that I experienced. And the divinity within that was, it was giving me tools and giving me awarenesses of how to navigate this world, of how to go within myself and listen to that inner voice when there was no one else around. It was giving me the ability to break open my heart, not in a painful way, even though at the time it felt very painful. But the true opportunity was really about breaking open my heart to remember my light, to remember, you know, that kind of hardened bit and the separation that had happened, and instead come back to what my light is. And that's the invitation that's available to each of us, that there's something wanting to be expressed from you. And so we have these life events that happen that are an initiation or an invitation for us to go within and to find more of ourselves, to express more of ourselves, to bring more of ourselves out here and in the open. But that doesn't necessarily always happen. For myself, it was like these experiences would happen and I'd just collapse in on myself, and I'd hide my heart and I'd hide my pain, and I wouldn't want to express it to anyone. But the true transformation happens when you allow yourself to truly feel it and then to express it, and to see what pieces can you take from it to allow you to express more of yourself, to allow you to express more of your light. And some of this might, again, resonate with you guys. Some of it might not. But I would invite you to just kind of be curious about, what does that bring up in you? You know, is there a resistance that it brings up? And if so, awesome. Let's get curious about that. What is that resistance? If there's emotions that come up, allow yourself to get curious. Awesome. What are those emotions? Because it's, when we have these reactions, we're really giving ourselves permission to just express, to allow it to flow through us. And for so many, we've been taught or trained or programmed or whatever to just push it down, push it down, push it down. But the real invitation here is really about you giving yourself permission to bring it out, to allow yourself to feel it, to allow yourself to express it, and most importantly, to remember your divinity as you're doing so. Most of us have gotten so disconnected from that divinity, from that inner knowing, from that inner light. And I know there's the quote that says, you know, we're spiritual beings here having a human experience. And then the statements started to become, you know, well, we can't spiritually bypass. We need to experience these things as being human. But that's what we're here for. And I agree and I disagree. Yes, we're here having this human experience. And this human experience brings in all types of opportunities for us to feel different ways, to experience different emotions, to go through different life experiences. But to me, the true reason that we're here is to remember our divinity as we go through those human experiences. And most of us will detach from our divinity and we go, I am this pain now. I am this hurt. I am this separation. But our truth is actually that light, that there is a God consciousness within each and every single one of us that's wanting to create something better, that's wanting to express something more, that's wanting to be more alive within this human body. And so I invite you, as we're going through all of these, you know, kind of crazy energies that are coming up lately, to just allow yourself to go within, to remember that divinity within you and use that divinity to help you go through what those emotions are, and to feel what those emotions are, but staying attached to that divinity. And whether you want to call it God, whether you want to call it the universe, the creator, the source, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just about remembering it. It's allowing yourself to truly hold on to that, and to remember that we're not here to have pain. We're not here to have suffering. And it can be so easily to go through our experiences and go, this pain and suffering is all I can feel right now. I've been there. I've done that. And I can promise you that when you allow yourself to actually feel the emotions, to express the emotions, to heal the emotions, that you start to remember more of that light and you start to feel lighter. And that's essentially what I want for each of us, is not to become, you know, the most enlightened beings, but for us to remember our own divinity as life is happening. So that's my little rant for the day. Coming up at Compassion with Catherine, I do want to share a couple of the events that we've got coming up. So as some of you know, my husband and I have been doing the Creating Conscious Relationships series. That does happen on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. And I am looking forward to just continuing to co-create with him as we share what our own experiences have been, because understand that we haven't always had a conscious relationship with each other. Our relationship has definitely gone through its own ebbs and flows, and times of disconnection and reconnection, as we've both learned to navigate and heal through our own wounds, to build a better, strong front with each other. So we would love to have you guys join us for that, to send in any questions or join in on the conversation. There's also, I just posted today, an inner healing child workshop that's going to be, or an inner child healing workshop, I messed that up. An inner child healing workshop that's going to be happening on April 12th, right here at my home office. There's limited space. However, it is going to be a jam-packed day, full of information as well as opportunities to heal and release what your inner child's experience has been. So you can find that in the events tab. And also on May 3rd, I am co-creating with 4 other amazing ladies the Soul Untamed, Well-Deserved Calm for Mom retreat. It's a 1-day retreat happening at Lavender Lane Wellness Center in Waterloo. And it is just a day packed full of so much goodness for the moms in our lives. And even if you're not a mom, but you're someone who tends to care for or nurture a lot of people, or you're feeling burnt out or whatever, you're more than welcome to come. The day is going to have a healing circle and sound baths, some yoga, some channeling, some human design readings, and intention setting and gratitude shares and celebration. It's going to be wonderful. So we would love to have you join us there. And just wanted to talk about the Light Seekers Collective for a little bit as well. This is the VIP membership for Compassion with Catherine, and we meet 6 times a month, sometimes a little bit more than that, depending on the month. But we meet twice a month to do healing circles. We meet twice a month to just chat about whatever our theme is. And we meet twice a month to do meditation. So about 6 sessions altogether. It's only $22 a month. And it is jam-packed full of goodness, I think, to help us all just release whatever it is that's coming up, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, psychologically. It's an opportunity for you to connect with other people who are also on this committed journey to their own healing. And we go through monthly themes. This month's theme is all about expressing yourself. And there's already been a Spirit Says and a meditation. However, there is going to be more healing circles, more Spirit Says, more meditations if you're interested in joining us. And when you do join, you'll actually have access to all of our library of all of the past healing circles, the Spirit Says Q&As, as well as some meditations. So you're totally set up for whatever your healing journey is going to be. And then lastly, just looking at my notes here. Oh, my book. I have been writing my book and writing my book and writing my book. And it is really just a beautiful unfolding of what my spiritual journey has been. And a lot of the concepts that I've been talking to you guys about today, about going within and really healing what your experience has been, allowing yourself to feel those emotions and truly to rewrite or re-understand what the narrative of your life experience has been. And this book I've been working on since 2022, 2023, somewhere in there. I know I got the name of the book in 2022 and kind of fiddled around with it a bit, but really didn't understand it. But over the past year, I've really been diving into it and astounding myself, and looking so forward to bringing this into the world, to sharing this message with you guys about the legacy of love. And it's really a reenactment of what my life experiences have been, from the times that I've went from like a lower consciousness understanding all the way to transcending it back into love, and how it really truly was love all along. I just couldn't see it. So I look forward to bringing that forward. And when it is getting closer, there's going to be some big announcements of ways that you can win the book, of special opportunities to work with me, different workshops and stuff that will all help promote what the book is all about. So yeah. Anyways, thank you so much to everyone who has joined in today. I look forward to connecting with you all further down the road. Remember that your greatest power is in here. You're not going to find it out there. You're going to find it in here. You know what your answers are. You know your divinity. And it's all about just allowing yourself to remember that. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll chat soon.